Renewal by Andersen.
Good call, Mr. Fix-It.
For a perfect fit, call 605-341-7831. Renewal by Andersen of South Dakota. 605-341-7831.
Stuck in a state of falling behind? Struggling to keep up with your kids, your finances, your insurance, your life? This is State Farm Agent Matt McCormick. Let me help you simplify and get to a better state. With me handling your auto, home, and life insurance, you'll have more time to handle everything else. Even more money, too. Because adding State Farm policies can earn discounts that could add up to 40%. Call me, State Farm Agent Matt McCormick, and get to a better state with State Farm. 348-0464.
Hi, I'm Tim Wrench, and I'm seeking personal injury cases. If you've been injured because someone else did something wrong, call me up. I'm a trial lawyer. I've tried criminal and civil cases for decades, and I can use all of that experience to help you. I also know this, that when insurance companies know that you're represented by a trial lawyer, they take your claim more seriously, and if it is to be settled, it's settled better with a trial lawyer. Wrench Law, 605-341-1111, wrenchlaw.com.
Looking for a great place for a pregame meal that really satisfies? Or maybe you want a place to take your all-star after the game. Or you're looking for a place to enjoy a delicious meal while watching your favorite team on the big screen TV. Valley Sports Bar and Grill has all the bases covered for all those things and more. Top-notch, friendly, and attentive service. Wall-to-wall big screen TVs with all the big games. And the absolute best wings in Rapid City. Valley Sports Bar. Make it your place. 1865 Valley Drive, Rapid City.
KIMM Rapid City and K294BT Rapid City, the Black Hills Sports Station, 106.7 FM and 1150 AM, Fox Sports Rapid City.
Cardinals head coach Jonathan Gannon confirming that running back James Conner will miss the rest of the season as he suffered a foot injury against the Niners yesterday, and that injury will require surgery. Speaking of the Niners, they lost edge rusher Nick Bosa for the rest of the season with a torn ACL in his right knee. Chargers running back Najee Harris is going to miss the rest of the season because of a ruptured Achilles tendon suffered in yesterday's win over Denver. Giants head coach Brian Daboll says they are, quote, working through personnel decisions, end quote, and evaluating everything when asked who will start at quarterback in Week 4 against the Chargers. Week 3 ends tonight with the Lions and Ravens starting at 8:15 Eastern Time. Auburn men's basketball coach Bruce Pearl retiring after 11 seasons. His son Steven, who is the team's associate head coach, gets a 5-year deal to take over the head job. Houston Rockets guard Fred VanVleet suffered a torn ACL, according to ESPN. I'm Dan Beyer.
It's time for South Dakota's Sports Talk Show. This is the Nate Brown Show, featuring live callers, great interviews, and thought-provoking sports talk. From the biggest national names to the hottest stories across South Dakota. Welcome to the Nate Brown Show. Here's your host, Nate Brown.
Hey, all right, welcome in. It's Monday. It's a Reaction Monday on South Dakota Sports Talk Show. How are you doing? All right? You doing okay on this Monday? We're back and ready. It's always a great day in South Dakota. Welcome in on Fox Sports Radio, the Nate Brown Show, back and ready. Great guest lineup, some great content, high school to college to the pros. Tonight, we got you covered on Fox Sports Radio. Remember, you can listen to us on the radio side and our affiliates across the state, East River and West River. We appreciate that. Also, on Midwest Sports Plus, we're streaming there on the new high school sports app. So if you have that, great place to get the show each afternoon, Midwest Sports Plus, and also on Twitter, at Nate Brown Show. So you can watch the show live on your phone. Follow us on the X app, at Nate Brown Show. One more place, YouTube channel is live right now. Subscribe, The Nate Brown Show on YouTube, and then you've got this program ready to go on a Monday. Hope you had a nice weekend. Glad you're here. We've got some things to cover tonight from a football standpoint. A lot of football tonight. Imagine that on a Monday. We'll get your reactions as well on the Pizza Ranch Studio hotline and the text line as well. Let's get to it. Guest lineup looks like this tonight. Curtis Riggs going to pop on in. Riggs Football Academy. Great football guy. We know that. Coach and analyst Curtis Riggs live tonight from Sioux Falls. I've got some high school football questions for Coach Riggs, so we'll get him on tonight. Curtis Riggs on a Monday. John Bryce is in, college football national writer for FootballScoop.com. I haven't heard from John in a while. Let's get his take on the Huskers and more. John Bryce in from Football Scoop. Jason Ander is on every Monday. High school football reaction. We're midway through the season. Where are we at in the AAA level? Is one team separating themselves as untouchable? Untouchable are the Sioux Falls Lincoln Patriots, potentially. Jason Ander is coming up, high school football analyst, SDPB. And one more guy, national NFL writer for Fox Sports, Henry McKenna, breaking down Week 3 in the NFL. Henry McKenna on tonight, covering Monday Night Football as well. Lions, Ravens coming up. FoxSports.com, national NFL writer Henry McKenna is on tonight. Across the country, across the state, we got you going. Let's get you on. 605-720-1067 is the number. That's the Pizza Ranch Studio Hotline. 605-720-1067. Your line into the program. Powered by the Pizza Ranch, our great partner, and I'll tell you, they're locally owned and operated, the best buffet by far. You can stop in tonight, East 10th Street in Sioux Falls, also a location in Brandon, and 2 locations in Rapid City. Your locally owned and operated Pizza Ranch, home of everyone's favorite buffet. And call us as well there, or the text line, 605-720-1067. That's the Barron's Wilson Lister text line from the start of this show. We can get you on the text line, 605-720-1067. That is the Barron's Wilson text line. All right, where are we going to start today? Well, let's start with the Huskers today, and then I want to get to the 2 overreactions on the quarterbacks. There's the mystery of the Nate Brown Show. There is 2 overreactions from Sunday in the NFL on these 2 quarterbacks. And I really believe this, so I'm going to tie this together. Let's start with the Huskers. So here's what happened to me. And you can get mad at me. You can be mad at me. I saw Husker fans over the weekend, and I love you, Husker fans. I got the text from the Husker fan favorite. He said, "Go Big Red again." And I said, this is a big one. A big one. He was cautiously optimistic. It's not like the Husker fans thought they were going to roll Michigan. I never heard that. So I don't want everybody to pick on the Huskers today. I don't want everybody to say, oh, the Huskers thought they were going to beat Michigan. They thought they were going to roll. I didn't ever hear that. I didn't hear that on this program or even around South Dakota. The people I talked to, the Husker fans that I know and the alums and the season ticket holders, they were nervous about Saturday. But I came on this show, and you can't get mad at me, and I said on Thursday, it's still going to be a Husker loss. I said on Thursday, I had this game as a loss at the start of the year when I broke out the schedule, and I have the Huskers going 8-4. And I still thought Michigan's going to be able to run it. They want to pound it. They got the running quarterback. He did okay. He only threw for just over 100 yards. I mean, it wasn't like they were explosive, but I just knew Michigan physicality, they're going to run it, and I didn't know if Nebraska's defense could answer that bell. Nebraska's had this issue. They've had a good defense a couple of years ago. Shutdown defense. No offense. Now they get Dylan Raiola, throws for over 300 yards, 3 touchdowns. That's a nice game. That's a nice game. Oh, he had an interception. That's a nice game. There's not enough defense physically in the trenches. You can't compete in a ton of big games if you can't stop the run. They aren't going to be able to stop Penn State. And here's my worry here. There's this game at the end of the year, which I marked as a win for Nebraska. This game you guys all know at the end of the year, I marked that as a win for Nebraska, and I'm not so sure if this is how the defensive rushing ability is going to have. This is an Iowa team that's going to run it. They're going to pound it, and I think Gronowski's going to be even better by then. So that's a game that I get a little worried about now, because I still had this Michigan team as the loss for Nebraska. There was hope. There was positivity that this is going to turn the corner. And it's not like they got blew away. They were in the game, got down early, came back and forth, and then showed some life there. So it's not like Nebraska of old just getting blown away or beat down and not competitive. This team is almost there. They're almost there. But I do think they have to be able to play physically much better on defense. You're not going to be able to compete regularly in the Big Ten and big games, giving up 290 yards rushing. 290 yards rushing, and the Huskers had how much? 43 yards on the ground. So, yeah, Raiola was tossing it around. That's fine. That's good. He was the better quarterback. Michigan had the ground and pound. They just beat them up a little bit. Yeah, beat them up quite a bit. 290 yards rushing, and those are the types of games that you got to be physical. This is the Big Ten. College football has changed where teams will throw it around on you a little bit, but you better be able to stop some of the running games. And so I still have the Huskers sitting at 8 wins, and you say, well, how is that? Okay, I thought Michigan would be a loss. Penn State's going to be a loss. I said USC, there's 3. And now I'm switching. Minnesota's going to be a win for the Huskers. Give me Nebraska later on at Minnesota. That's a win. But the last game against Iowa, I'm going to put back in the L category for now. If that's the type of team Saturday, you can't stop the rush. That's what Iowa's going to do. So I'm putting that category back in. By the way, so I'm giving Iowa the win, Minnesota the L. That still puts me at a safe, pretty solid season of 8-4 for the Huskers. And I think you guys would say, that's pretty good. And it is, but I was also cautious when I was hearing national college football guys come on this show. Josh Pate. Josh, what's going on? I had him on this show. He said, college football playoffs, potential. I never thought that. I thought that was getting over your skis there, out kicking your coverage there. I mean, just a little bit. Can we win these games first? And I took Michigan early. I stuck with them last week. I even made some money at BetMGM Sportsbook because I took the Wolverines. And I'm not happy about it. I just didn't see Nebraska getting over the top yet. I'm going to get your reaction on this. 605-720-1067. 605-720-1067. That's our line into the program, the Barron's Wilson text line. Listener text, I said the Huskers were looking at 6-6. You're going to go 6-6? It's not going to go like that. I do believe this is not going to go like last year, where they fall off big in the end. You know, they lose some of these games like to UCLA. Now, UCLA is really, really bad, but I'm talking they lost that last year to UCLA. That type of stuff's not going to happen. So I just told you, they're going to beat the Minnesotas. They're going to beat these teams they should beat. I'm not so sure they can beat Iowa. It looked like it to me. Not with the rushing defense that gives up 300 yards to Michigan. And you knew what Michigan was going to do. You knew what they were going to do, and you just couldn't stop it, and that's my concern. Let's see. Where else is this going to go? So one more thing on the Huskers. Some people say, well, that's just the Huskers. I ran into a Husker fan Saturday afternoon. And her husband said, you know, they were there. Her husband said that they can't win these games. They just can't win these games. I don't think that is the case from this year's team as opposed to what? 2 years ago, last year, 3 years ago? Meaning, do you think a current team is affected by losing big games prior? I don't think that's the case. New coaching staff, new players. Maybe there's a few that have hung on, but I don't think, well, they and that's what Husker fans are used to now is, well, they just can't win these games. These big games, they can't win them. Well, that's not this year's team. I just didn't see the defensive ability to be physical enough where Michigan was going to come at you. They got athletes. They're going to ground you. They're going to pound you and pop you. That's what I didn't see. And that's what played out on Saturday. It's not, oh, they just can't win these big games. No, they have players now. They have a quarterback now. I believe in Raiola. I like his game. I mean, that's good enough to win. 300 yards, 3 TDs. That's the real deal. Now there's a missing aspect of physicality, being tough enough in the trenches, and you better be ready for Penn State and Iowa and some of these teams to pound you. And I don't know if they're going to be able to answer that bell. They're a solid team. They're not college football playoff. I never thought that. And they are going to be in the mix of 8-4. I'm still going to hold. You just texted me and said they're going to be. I told you they were going to be 6-6. They're not going to be 6-6. So I'm going to say that today. A little silver lining. They're close. They were good Saturday in certain aspects, and then not physical enough in a big one. And don't kid yourself, Michigan's going to go on to win some games here. I mean, they're going to go on to win some games. They're not the Michigan of old either, but Nebraska's not the Nebraska of old either. I really believe that. 8-4, book it. Let's go to this situation here with your Vikings. And what people are kind of high on here is Carson Wentz, the revival, the points, the yards. Look, Carson Wentz and the Vikings buy those Super Bowl tickets. Hang on a second. Let's not go crazy. I've got 2 quarterbacks that are being entered into the Nate Brown Show today, the category of overreaction from their fans and their media today. 2 quarterbacks, and they're both guys that I've watched closely. Bo Nix for my Broncos. Everybody's thinking he's now no good at all. They can say he's just no good at all. And this is from me, who I've been a, let's say, less than believer in Bo Nix being an elite quarterback. I've been honest on this program with my Broncos. I've thought Bo Nix probably isn't an elite quarterback. I never saw that. But I told you, he can play a little bit. He's got some athleticism. I love his intangibles, his character, his work ethic, his leadership, his competitiveness. He's got some tools, can throw the ball. So I said, he surprised me last year is he tore off some really good games the last 10 weeks. I mean, really good games. And now the Denver media and the fans are already overreacting. Bo Nix he hasn't looked that good. Bo Nix hasn't looked that good. I think we're in trouble. These are guys that were telling you, this is it, Sean Payton and Bo Nix all the way to the Super Bowl. And then after 3 games, I think Bo Nix, we're in trouble. Can we have some measured response? Just a little bit. Bo Nix isn't going from good quarterback last year to bad. I'm telling you, they're in the mix. The Broncos are in the mix. Sean Payton's been a disaster. I will tell you on that. Play calling, decisions, game management. I mean, he has been a mess. I know he's the smartest guy in America. Just ask him. But he's been a mess. And so Bo Nix is okay. Let's not, everybody's looking for a guy to, it's Bo Nix's fault. And then on the other side, the Vikings fans yesterday, look at the Vikings. They rolled the Bengals. Carson Wentz. I think Carson's the answer. Carson did okay. He had 2 touchdowns from the defense. Did you watch the Vikings game? I hope you did. Or maybe you listened to it on our affiliate. But Carson Wentz was okay. The Vikings got 2 defensive touchdowns early on. That blew the game wide open. I mean, did you watch the Vikings defense yesterday? That's what made Carson Wentz okay. So let's pump the brakes. Carson Wentz isn't going to the Vikings' number 1 slot, and Bo Nix isn't going to the bench for Jarrett Stidham. Okay, there's the answer. 2 overreactions on quarterbacks today, but it's week 3. Thanks for calling. You're live, and you go ahead.
Hey, Nate, how are you?
I'm doing good, man. How you feeling?
Well, the Huskers and Broncos are so similar. I've been saying this for the last couple of years. They're both good teams, not great teams, but when they make a mistake, it just kills them. And the Broncos made 2 huge ones yesterday that weren't Bo Nix's fault. They had that long pass, and the wide receiver lines up off sides. Now, how long have you been playing football? All you have to do is look down the line of scrimmage. It's not that tough.
Yes, yes.
and then you have the stupid personal foul. How long have you been playing football that you can't body slam a guy? I mean, and those two are crucial mistakes that cost the Broncos that game, I thought.
Yes,
and
well,
so,
they've made some key mistakes. I mean, key mistakes, and that's the difference. This isn't a Bo Nix's terrible thing. I don't think Bo Nix is awesome, but he's not. I mean, people are trying to blame him. I'm not.
I blame that Husker loss on Coach Rule. He had take the points. I said that before they even went for the fourth down on the first drive. Get the points. You need to. It's not like we've won a lot of close games here. We've lost like 80% of them, or 90% of them in the last 10 years. Take the points, and he didn't.
Right.
Then you have the guy running out of the back of the end zone. That's another simple thing that a receiver learns from probably middle school is watch where your feet are when you get near the back of the end zone, and he didn't. That cost him 4 points there.
This sounds like a tough weekend for you, isn't it? It's a tough weekend.
I'm just saying, for those two teams, every time they make a mistake, it kills them. Unlike a lot of other teams that have the ability to overcome those, it just seems like Huskers and the Broncos, when they make a mistake, it just kills them.
Very interesting, man. I appreciate you. I hope we turn the corner. Thanks for getting in. He says the Huskers and Broncos are kind of got snake bitten. They're kind of unlucky. Well, they also make mistakes. And he said, well, the mistakes kill them. They make dumb mistakes. Dumb mistakes. My Broncos, at least. My Broncos have made really dumb mistakes. And Sean Payton's at the number one list for that. Sean Payton's at the top of the list for really, really bizarre things. Goes for it on fourth down a couple of times yesterday, and they get it. It's fourth down and really, really short, less than a yard, and he doesn't go for it. It's like, what are you doing? It's second and goal, short yardage, second and goal. Let's go shotgun and throw a pass, and then we get offensive pass interference. Second and goal. Short yardage, just give it to Dobbins, and they score, and they're up by 11, and it's over. So, I mean, just watch these games. These guys tell you, I've told you, Sean Payton overthinks, overcoaches. I'm smarter than everybody. I'm going to go second and goal, really short yardage, shotgun, pass. What? And you lost it. So, Broncos, snake bitten, bad mistakes. That's how you lose in the NFL. It's really close margins. You guys know this. Really close margins. All right, we'll get to more of your action. Let's go to an NFL writer, his take on the Broncos, Vikings, and more. Henry McKenna, national NFL writer for FoxSports.com. Live next.
This is South Dakota's Sports Talk Show.
Ace is the place with the helpful hardware, folks. Our locally owned Ace stores are committed to helping our neighbors and our communities. And because we're in the neighborhood, we can deliver almost anything you need. So shop in store or online for whatever your home or yard needs. Choose from top brands like Milwaukee, Steel, Traeger, and Benjamin Moore. Then pick up in-store, curbside, or we'll deliver your order right to your home. Around the block, what you need in stock, with people who know how to help. See acehardware.com for details.
How do you make a buffet day even better? Make it a play day. The Pizza Ranch and Fun Zone Arcade is your place for good food and good times. Won the big game? Make it a play day. Aced your test? Make it a play day. Just need to get out of the house? Make it a play day. The Pizza Ranch and Fun Zone Arcade has all your favorites and all kinds of fun. So bring your family, bring your friends, bring your team. For good food and good times, make it a buffet day and a play day at the Pizza Ranch and Fun Zone Arcade.
Fringe activists are at it again in Rapid City. We've seen it before. Abortion on demand, drugs on our street, all defeated at the ballot box. Don't get fooled, Rapid City. Don't sign these petitions. They're trying to force non-issues to the ballot box, making for costly elections that are paid by Rapid City taxpayers. Don't sign the petition. Stop radical agendas at the clipboard. Go to declinetosign.com to learn more. Paid for by Citizens for Responsible Growth.
Western and South Dakota's largest selection of used cars, trucks, and SUVs is at Danny Menho Rapid Chevrolet. Over 350 to choose from. GMC, Ram, Ford, Jeep, imports, Chevys, GM certified pre-owned, 24 different manufacturers, all with Danny Menho discounts. If you want it, we have it, or our friendly staff will find it for you. Buyers on site offering top dollar for all trades. Financing available on the spot and all credit applications accepted. See us at Danny Menho Rapid Chevrolet or DannyMenhoRapidChevrolet.com. Together, let's drive.
Here's your Fox Sports Rapid City forecast. Cloudy tonight with storms likely. Lows around 54. Northwesterly winds 10 to 20 miles per hour. Tomorrow, high of 74. Lows level off around 50. Tomorrow night, clear skies. Sunny skies and dry Wednesday and Thursday, upper 70s. Wednesday, mid-80s by Thursday. That's your forecast on the Black Hills Sports Station, Fox Sports Rapid City. Currently, it's 68 degrees.
Whether you're a pro or a Joe, a weekend warrior or a gardening great, Monument Health Orthopedics and Sports Medicine is here when you need us. Nobody plans an injury, but when people throughout the Black Hills and beyond suffer a setback, Monument Health Orthopedics is here to provide comprehensive medical care. Our team of board-certified orthopedic surgeons and specialists is dedicated to helping patients regain the quality of life they've lost due to an injury, arthritis, or joint wear and tear. Monument Health Orthopedics and Sports Medicine for everyday athletes like you.
Attention football fans, the BetMGM Sportsbook at Cadillac Jack's Gaming Resort has it all. Watch your team on massive high-definition screens while enjoying live betting. Keep some skin in the game even when the odds don't go your way. Enter Jack's Second Chance Mulligan Drawing by dropping your losing ticket for a shot at up to $200 in Cadillac cash every week. Satisfy your craving with mouth-watering Mexican cuisine from Guadalajara's or choose from 4 other food vendors, all while sipping on your favorite drinks. The BetMGM Sportsbook at Cadillac Jack's Gaming Resort. How will your game play out?
From high school to college to the pros, from Rapid City to Sioux Falls, the Nate Brown Show is South Dakota's sports talk show.
Hey, welcome back in. South Dakota Sports Talk Show live. Just getting going on a Reaction Monday on the Nate Brown Show. Hey, Sioux Falls, I got to tell you about Atomic Wings. 2 locations in Sioux Falls. You don't need to keep going to these mediocre wing places. I mean, I've had the stuff. Too much breading, no meat, none of that. Atomic Wings is different. I know firsthand. I had their boneless wings. Unbelievable. Fresh chicken right there made. 15 sauces, sweet to heat. Atomic Wings, I'm telling you, for game day, lunch, dinner with the family. Order at atomicwings.com. I'm telling you, the best. Really, really good in Sioux Falls. Atomicwings.com. And let's go Henry McKenna on the Nate Brown Show tonight. National NFL writer, foxsports.com. Henry, welcome in. How are you?
I'm good, Nate. Thanks for having me on.
I appreciate you hopping in on a Monday. I got some things I want to run by you. Let's start with the Denver Broncos. You're a national writer. You've been following these teams. You popped around to training camps and all this. The Broncos had high expectations. I'm a Broncos fan. I didn't get into that category of, oh, man, Super Bowl roster, the real deal. I wasn't there yet. Sean Payton was. What should people really think of a 1-2 team that lost really tight 2 weeks in a row?
Well, I think one of the bigger stories of that Week 3 matchup against the Chargers was actually that the Chargers are a really good and complete football team. So as we sort of suss out, you know, the haves from the have-nots in the NFL right now, I think one thing is becoming clear, and it's that the Chargers might actually end up being maybe one of the best teams, one of the best 3 teams in the AFC, and probably like one of the best 5 teams in the NFL. So, but I think that's also where the Broncos would have put themselves if you'd asked them 3 weeks ago. And like you said, Sean Payton and basically everyone in Denver during training camp was talking Super Bowl. But it reminded me a little bit of the Bills when they did that 4 or 5 years ago, and they were just getting a little ahead of themselves because, you know, a sophomore quarterback is like one of the hardest things, you know, not literally to bet on. I don't know. I don't bet that much. But like, you know, when you try and bet on a guy, you know, this guy's going to have a great year. You never know what's really going to happen with sophomore quarterbacks. And I think that Bo Nix has kind of looked up and down. He's looked unreliable, and he doesn't look like a Super Bowl quarterback. What we thought would materialize was a Super Bowl defense that would support him, and that hasn't really come through either. So give them a little time. I think they need to ice their bumps and bruises, and especially the ones that bump their ego. And I think they need to reassess, self-scout, and go get back to the drawing board. They are a talented team. That is not a doubt in my mind. It's just, I really think it's a mentality thing. When they came into the year thinking that they were a Super Bowl team, they needed to get punched down a little bit. And now let's see, if they actually are a real contender in the AFC, then what they'll do is they'll learn from their mistakes, both from a mentality standpoint, from a hubris standpoint, from a game planning standpoint, and they'll build themselves back up from here, and they'll be peaking at the right time in January and maybe even February.
Okay, everybody was saying the Packers are going to be the untouchable. I mean, first couple of weeks, it's Packers, look out. They lose to the Browns. Is this just one of those games, Henry, we're going to look back on? It's like, I guess that's the NFL. Or are we thinking, hey, let's wait on the Packers here, not crown them yet?
Yes, I think it's a little bit of both, actually. I think, look, when the Packers traded for Michael Parsons, and he did actually change the defense in a much more substantial way than really anyone could have expected because of how quickly everything happened. It's rare to see a traded player make such an immediate impact, and that's what happened with Parsons. That defense just looked incredible, and they still looked incredible going into this game. I mean, the Browns are not, they're not a great team, but they're not, Kevin Stefanski is an offensive coach. Joe Flacco and Kevin Stefanski have done impressive things together in years past. So, yes, I think to some degree the Packers got a little bit too inflated with I guess we're kind of repeating some of the similar storylines with the Broncos, but Broncos got a little full of themselves and they walked themselves right into a trap game. I think they're a really good team. The one thing that we have not really seen yet is, can Jordan Love play well without the lead? He played extremely well in those first two games. But guess what? They were never trailing for any minute in that entire game. We saw Jordan Love go behind in this Week 3 game. When that young man gets pressured, and I don't mean from the pass rush, I mean from a game standpoint, when the pressure builds on him, he becomes inconsistent. He begins to make game-wrecking mistakes. That was exactly what we saw in Week 3. That, to me, is the biggest question right now around the Packers, is can Jordan Love stop making the mistakes that ruin his team's chances to win? Because then he'll simply step away from the picture, and the team itself is so good that they can materialize the win themselves. He doesn't need to make splash plays. He doesn't need to make plus plays. If he just steps back and lets his guys do the work, they will. And I think this team, will actually be maybe the best in the NFC, but certainly right up there with the Commanders and the Eagles.
Okay, so you go Commanders, Eagles are up there. What about the Rams? They couldn't get it done yesterday, but they were right there with the Eagles again.
Right. They're a team weirdly built around their front seven. We think about the Rams and we think about Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams and Matthew Stafford. Well, I think Devontae Adams and Matthew Stafford are starting to look like older guys. And as the weather gets colder, I think we might see that offense not look incredible. I do, however, think that if they can build the core of their identity around the defense, that they are, a team that will be dangerous. I have a hard time getting overly excited about the Rams because I don't think they're going to finish in the top of the standings, especially because they just lost last night in a game that would have helped them significantly against the Eagles head-to-head. So if the Rams are going to be on the road, and they might have to travel to colder climates, and they're not exactly built to be a team that can be, if Stafford and Adams are struggling physically in cold, I just get a little worried about that sort of team. And so what I want to see is this defense starting to win them big games more often, so that Matt Stafford, a guy who's dealing with a back injury coming into the season, a guy who is thinking about retiring coming into this season, I want to see someone else step forward, and it's got to be a guy like Jared Verse, who has all of the talent in the world to win Defensive Player of the Year.
National NFL writer Henry McKenna on tonight from FoxSports.com. Find his work there. He's on X at Henry C. McKenna. Follow him there for the NFL. So the Vikings win yesterday with Carson Wentz. 173 yards, a couple of touchdowns for Wentz, but he really got two big defensive touchdowns. They just killed the Browns. Brian Flores and the Vikings defense just demolished Jake Browning and the Browns. The Bengals. So I'm looking at the Vikings, Henry. They got the Steelers overseas and the Browns overseas next couple of weeks. Can Carson Wentz and the Vikings survive this and be in good shape in the NFC North when McCarthy comes back?
Yeah, I think they absolutely can. And it's also not exactly because of Carson Wentz, right? Like, the beauty of this Vikings team, the reason why so many people were high on J.J. McCarthy coming into the season was because Kevin O'Connell might be the best offensive coach and quarterback coach in the NFL, and Brian Flores is probably the best defensive coach in the NFL, a defensive coordinator to be specific. So when you've got the best coordinator running the defense and you've got the best offensive head coach running the offense, then you have one of the best coaching staffs, period, probably the best coaching staff, period, to set up a quarterback to not have to do a whole lot. And we saw literally that was exactly what happened. Carson Wentz had a nice game, but I think he threw for 173 yards. Right. He was kind of on cruise control. Carson Wentz is a nice backup quarterback. He's a perfectly fine player to put behind your starter. He did exactly his job, and that was to let the defense confound, confuse, befuddle, perplex Jake Browning on the other side of the ball. That poor guy, Brian Flores, ran circles around him from a scheme standpoint. That defense was switching before the snap. There were disguises. It was rude. It was unkind how many tricks Brian Flores broke out for that game, and it worked like a charm. Jake Browning did not know what he was seeing, and like you said, big defensive plays, two interceptions. That's the kind of stuff that we should expect, in the next few weeks. It won't work quite as well when you're going against Aaron Rodgers, who's pre-snap probably the sharpest or one of the top 3 or 4 sharpest quarterbacks in the league. But maybe, against Flacco and maybe against Rodgers, you can at least play the intellectual game and challenge them. So, I like this Vikings team. I always have. I'm a little nervous about J.J. McCarthy's continued acclimation when he comes back from his ankle injury. But actually, in the meantime, I'm not too worried about the Vikings with Wentz. They're built to survive basically any quarterback.
Yeah, a couple of games here. Steelers, not a pushover. Browns, I guess not a pushover, but 2 games overseas for the Vikes. They could end up 4-1. They win those 2, 4-1. It's a long ways off. It's easier said than done. Henry McKenna on tonight. I'll let you run. How about Monday night tonight? Everybody says, it's Ravens tonight. What do you expect from the Lions here?
Yeah, the good news was last week the Lions showed everybody against the Bears just how dominant they can be on both sides of the ball, really. I think we saw them put up 51 points, if I remember right. And that was just a reminder of 2 things, which is that, one, the Lions remain, a playoff team, even if they had a bad first week. But second, they're doing just so fine without Ben Johnson, the guy who was on the other side of the ball getting beat brutally. So culturally, the Lions are okay. Schematically, the Lions are okay. The thing that we've been saying for years about the Lions is how good is this defense. So I think ultimately we're going to see a lot of points. We're going to see a duel between offenses. And I think we're going to see, this is where I am curious to see how well Jared Goff and that offense can manage the game, because if it does ultimately get into a sprint of points down the stretch, I want to see Jared Goff manage the game, keep the ball away from Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson, because if you give them the ball in the fourth quarter, they're going to take control of the game, whether they need points, whether they need to run out the clock. You need magic. You need Josh Allen on the other side of the field to create something out of nothing. So don't give them the ball. Keep the ball away from the Ravens. That means Jahmyr Gibbs. That means David Montgomery. That means ball control offense from Jared Goff, and they're very good at that. So I'm curious how that fourth quarter, what I think will be a tight game, how ball control ends there.
Ravens favored by 4.5 tonight. Good Monday night game, Ravens-Lions. Henry McKenna covering the NFL, national writer, FoxSports.com. Henry, good to have you again. Thanks a lot.
Appreciate you. Have a great night.
Thanks a lot. Henry McKenna. Follow him on X at Henry C. McKenna, national NFL writer for FoxSports.com. Here on the Nate Brown Show, getting us started. Good stuff from week 3. Listener text coming in on my Broncos. Nate, the Broncos' worst enemy is their head coach. Even I didn't go that far. But yeah, I'm having a tough time with Sparky. Having a tough time with Sean. Where's that spark on offense, Sean? We need a lot more. We need a lot more spark from Sparky Sean Payton. Jason Andera is in every Monday on the Nate Brown Show. We talk high school football. We're midway through the year. I said this team a couple of weeks ago might be untouchable. I think they are. I think they are. Jason Andera talking high school football next.
This is the Nate Brown Show.
There's nothing like it. Not for hundreds of miles in any direction. A gathering space for all kinds of people from all kinds of backgrounds. To share, to revel, to stand together and celebrate life's greatest moments.
We are number one. So you can always be their number one. Black Hills Surgical Hospital and Black Hills Orthopedic and Spine Center. The number one hospital in the nation for major orthopedic surgery.
Renewal by Andersen Windows and Patio Doors, the customers say it best, and they feel the difference every day.
Very happy with it. Very, very happy. I don't get tired of looking at them. And it's so nice with the breeze now, opening the windows, the ease of sliding the windows back and forth. Notice that it is warmer in the winter time, and it is cooler when the sun is shining in.
Renewal by Andersen Windows and Patio Doors, the customers say it best. Book your free estimate right now at RBARapidCity.com.
What do you call a place? It's one of Deadwood's largest casinos, but is it really a casino? Because you can't decide, should I play or eat or wait? There's a liquor-infused ice cream bar? I mean, you're playing craps 1 minute, and the next you're looking at a charcuterie board? What even is that? Never mind the gunfight outside, you don't have time for that. You've got espressos to down and games to bet on, and a pub with 48 whiskeys? What do you even call a place like that?
Rapid City has your gear. From athletic clothing from your favorite team, cold weather gear to keep you warm, to the best camping selection this side of the Black Hills, and the most stylish and functional women's outerwear and footwear, Shields has the widest selection of the best brands in the business. So when you're ready to get out, get in the game, or get going, get to Shields. Shields, we're right there with you at Rushmore Crossing in Rapid City.
This isn't just the sound of a legendary Brunswick pool table. It's the sound of families about to make memories together. And while this may sound like the hum of a spa, listen closely, and you'll hear backyard fun for years to come. So while Splash City's guarantee of quality sure sounds good, we know quality time sounds even better.
Who wants another burger?
Splash City, 1024 West Omaha, across from Connects in Rapid City.
You're listening to The Nate Brown Show, also streaming right now on X. Follow us and watch the show live at Nate Brown Show.
Hey, welcome back in Heavy Saxophone Monday on the Nate Brown Show. You know that it is South Dakota Sports Talk Show live on Fox Sports Radio. Glad to welcome you in on a Monday. We just talked NFL Week 3. Henry McKenna on tonight from FoxSports.com, national NFL writer. It's heavy football today. You know that. Curtis Riggs coming up live from Sioux Falls. We'll talk some high school football with Curtis Riggs next hour. His take on how the season's going. But every Monday, the opening hour of the Nate Brown Show, we're midway through the season. We go to Jason Andera, high school football analyst, high school sports commentary. His show is Game Time, SDPB. Jason, welcome back on. How are you?
I'm doing really well. I'm psyched to listen to Curtis Riggs and his take on some of the South Dakota high school football that's going on. So, just love being on the Nate Brown Show. Can't wait to delve in here.
Okay, let's get after it, man. I said this a couple of weeks ago. Sioux Falls, Lincoln. I even put a poll question out, and, you know, I don't like being hot take central, so I think people were going to get mad at me, but I said Sioux Falls, Lincoln's put up 50 points. They even put up 50 on O'Gorman earlier. I said, can we look at these guys and say they might be untouchable, that they might just win it all and go undefeated? And now I'm going to say it again. They just put up 57 against Sioux Falls Jefferson, who was undefeated, who has a nice defense. I know Jefferson was in it there, but 57 points. Is Lincoln untouchable?
Well, you watch the first three quarters of that game, and you're like, no, they're not untouchable. This is a team that gave up scores. I think they gave up the lead 5 different times in that game. Yes, the fourth quarter, Lincoln, put the pedal to the metal and, ended it up strong with a 57-36 win. But you're right. They've scored 62, 50, 55, and 57 so far this year. The all-time record for points in 11 AAA was set by Lincoln just a couple of years ago in 2023, where they averaged 49 points a game. This year they're averaging 56 points per game so far. And I will say they haven't played the top 2 defenses yet in 11 AAA. They still have Brandon Valley and Harrisburg on the schedule, but that record is definitely in jeopardy, their own record, because they are clicking on all cylinders. They've got 2 receivers that could put up, among the best seasons a receiver has ever put together in 11 AAA, and they've got 2 of those guys in Lewis Nikasi and Mikey Roach this year. So watch out. Yeah, they are on the right track.
Okay, so they give up 36, though, so they have to score a lot. They give up 36. So does this mean Brandon Valley's just waiting in the wings there? They're just waiting because Brandon Valley, pretty balanced.
Yes, and this Brandon Valley defense will give Lincoln a new wrinkle or 2 to look at. They've got a couple of college defensive backs that are just waiting for the Lincoln Patriots to come into town. They've got a couple of college linebackers that can run side to side, end zone to end zone, pretty fast. And then they've got, probably the best defensive line, one of the best defensive lines for sure, starting with Hudson Parliament up there, and then Mekhi Zocker, a couple of college defensive linemen. So Brandon Valley is loving that Lincoln's getting all the attention with their offense right now, and they're waiting in the wings saying, we can't wait to play and see exactly where we stack up against these guys. And they might not win that game, but they are going to be in that game. They are really a good team this year. So this is you look at who Lincoln's played so far, and you have to pump the brakes just a hair. O'Gorman's been good, trust me, I know, but they have to pump the brakes just a hair to see if they can play this way against Brandon Valley and Harrisburg, two of the best defenses in the state.
Okay, Jason Andera, not saying Sioux Falls Lincoln's going to run the table yet.
Yeah, not yet.
You're not saying that yet. So Harrisburg pounded on Yankton. This was a crossover game, AAA, AA. Yankton was number 1 in the South Dakota Power 5 poll. They still are in AA, so maybe there's just a gap there. Harrisburg handled Yankton easily. Does this say anything about Yankton in AA?
That's a good question. Does it say anything about Yankton in AA? Well, it says there might be a little gap between those top teams in AAA and AA. Yankton really got blindsided in the early part of that game with a couple of huge runs by Josiah Hines, and he set the tone in that game where Yankton had to play from behind, a place where Yankton hasn't had to play much this year, and really that just set off everything. It just, was the Jenga tower that crumbled right away, and it was too hard and too put back together for Yankton in that game. I was talking with a couple of 11 AA coaches today, actually, and one of them said, no surprises if anything happens to any teams anymore. This week you could have, a Pierre Yankton game that really could go either way. You've got a Spearfish Huron game that could go either way.
Yeah.
11 AA is totally up in the air right now, and rankings don't mean very much at all right now.
I put Spearfish in my top 5 today in the South Dakota Power 5 poll. Okay, so you got Spearfish in there. So Huron beats Sturgis. That was a battle there. People were like, man, this could be a good one. It was. Huron pulled away later in the 4th. So Huron, Spearfish, who has the edge? Is Huron better?
No, Huron's playing really well on defense right now. That's, for sure. But, if, for instance, if Huron played Pierre and Pierre would have caught one more pass in that game, Pierre would have beaten Huron, and we'd be talking about an undefeated Governor team and Huron with a couple of losses on the year. So, I love what Huron's done, but they're not unbeatable. And then on the other side, you've got Spearfish, who is really big, and they've got a really dangerous quarterback in Thomas Hughes. And if they would have played better in the first half against T, you'd be talking about them as an undefeated team right now. So there's just a couple of inches one way or the other in a AA right now. Wouldn't be shocked to see Spearfish win. Wouldn't be shocked to see Huron win. I think you'd be kind of a fool to make predictions right now of what's going to happen in 11 AA. And those are the two games I want to see how they play out this week, the Pierre Yankton game and the Huron Spearfish game, because, even Huron played well against Sturgis, but Sturgis, wasn't totally outmatched in that game either.
Yeah, no, that's right. Sturgis was in it for sure. Jason Andera on tonight. Follow his show, Game Time. It's on SDPB. He's on X at 605 Jandy. You can follow him for high school sports. So in 11B, here's a class that's had so much domination with Winter and some of the top teams there, yet there's been some parity at times. Some great games, some great teams. 11B seems wide open for like a St. Thomas More to maybe win their first title. I know we're only midway through, but 11B, I'm going to say, has some teams that aren't quite what we are used to.
No, I am kind of on board with you. You look at St. Thomas More's schedule, wouldn't shock me one bit if they go undefeated in the regular season and earn a number 1 seed in the playoffs, which is going to make people come out west, and they're going to be comfortable playing that type of a quarterfinal game and semifinal game at home. And I don't want to jump ahead too far, but that looks very likely right now. Wagner still has a couple of tough games left to play, so we'll see about them. Elk Point Jefferson is really good, but they're really run heavy right now, and we'll see if that continues to be the winning formula for them down the stretch here. They had 0 completions in the passing game against Winter. So I don't know. I think you're right. I think we've got another class that's full of parity. And to me, I've been voting St. Thomas More number one. I think they're getting overlooked right now in the polls at number 3. But I think they've deserved to be mentioned among the best teams in 11B for sure.
Okay, tough question for you, Jason Andera. I'm running a 9-man question for you, 9AA. There's some good teams here. Freeman, Marion Freeman Academy, they're number 1 in my poll. I put them number 1. Hamlin's in there. Elton Lake Benton's in there. Hill City is blowing away teams. Mm-hmm. And so I want to know if you think Hill City in 9AA can be towards the top.
Yeah, I think Hill City is better than they were last year. And they kind of came on the scene last year, and we looked at Devin Bueller and said, well, maybe that's the reason they're so good. But after talking to Coach Eckert, he said, our dudes were juniors last year, and there's nobody you can key on this team. They've got a lot of good players. Don't be surprised if we see Hill City making a run this year. I totally am on board with that. I think this is a team that probably would have benefited with a little tougher schedule. You know, that's totally out of their hands of how they schedule, but they would have benefited playing some of these top 9AA teams to see if they could make that run, because Freeman has definitely played a really tough schedule so far, and they've really come out aces, you know, beating Alcester Hudson, beating Bonhomme, beating Parkson, beating Elkton so far this year. So they look like that number 1 team, but I think Hill City's probably a half step off right now, and they're another team that should run the table. They should be able to have an undefeated regular season this year if they can get by Bennett County and a couple of teams like that. But it's going to be a tall ask just because they haven't played the type of schedule that Freeman has to make that run all the way this year.
Hill City ranked number 4 in 9-man AA in the South Dakota Power 5 poll, which is out today. Jason Andera in every Monday on the Nate Brown Show across South Dakota. High school football on SDPB. The show is Game Time. Jason, thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, always fun.
Thanks a lot. Jason Andera every Monday talking high school football from SDPB Sports. His show is Game Time. He's on X at 605 Jandy. Some good stuff there from Jason Andera. I've got a question for Curtis Riggs later on high school football in South Dakota. He's going to join us live from Sioux Falls, Riggs Football Academy. Curtis Riggs, the coach, coming up next hour. John Bryce is straight ahead, talking Huskers and more. National college football writer for Football Scoop. His take on the Husker loss to Michigan. I got to go with what people are missing with my Denver Broncos. There's something you're missing. Everybody's hitting them, and I got to remind you guys something next.
This is South Dakota's Sports Talk Show.
There's nothing like it. Not for hundreds of miles in any direction. A gathering space for all kinds of people from all kinds of backgrounds. To share, to revel, to stand together and celebrate life's greatest moments.
We are number 1. So you can always be their number 1. Black Hills Surgical Hospital and Black Hills Orthopedic and Spine Center. The number 1 hospital in the nation for major orthopedic surgery.
Renewal by Anderson Windows and Patio Doors, the customers say it best, and they feel the difference every day.
Very happy with it. Very, very happy. I don't get tired of looking at them. And it's so nice with the breeze now, opening the windows, the ease of sliding the windows back and forth. Notice that it is warmer in the winter time, and it is cooler when the sun is shining in.
Renewal by Anderson Windows and Patio Doors, the customers say it best. Book your free estimate right now at RBARapidCity.com.
What do you call a place that's one of Deadwood's largest casinos, but is it really a casino? Because you can't decide, should I play or eat or wait, there's a liquor-infused ice cream bar? I mean, you're playing craps one minute and the next you're looking at a charcuterie board? What even is that? Never mind the gunfight outside, you don't have time for that. You've got espressos to down and games to bet on and a pub with 48 whiskeys? What do you even call a place like that?
Building Materials Partner. Whether you're building new or giving new life to an old space, we provide step-by-step guidance from drafting and cabinetry design to lifelike visualization and top-quality materials. It's your vision, and we're here to make it real. Visit BLDR.com. Builders First Source, your Black Hills partner in building every step of the way.
Hi, this is David Brenneman with Coldwell Banker Black Hills Legacy in Rapid City. Have you thought about buying a home or real estate in the Black Hills? Maybe you want to upgrade to your forever home? I have been helping people in the Black Hills find the right home for nearly 20 years. When it comes to buying or selling, experience matters. Let me do the work and you can open the door to your new home. Say hello to a good buy with me, David Brenneman. To get started, just Google David Brenneman, Coldwell Banker.
Your sports, your show. From East River to West River, this is South Dakota's sports talk show, The Nate Brown Show.
Hey, welcome back in. Glad you're here on a Monday. The Nate Brown Show is live on Fox Sports Radio, South Dakota Sports Talk Show. Stream us on X at Nate Brown Show. Follow the show and watch us live right now on X at Nate Brown Show. A reminder, if you miss some of the show every day, you don't catch this guest, that guest, you miss some of the segments. We don't repeat guests or record them and play them back like some of these national shows. What do these guys do when they play back guests? Like get coffee and donuts or what? We go live each time out, so we know you missed some stuff. Go to the Nate Brown Show podcast. Every show's there on Apple, Spotify, Amazon. Search The Nate Brown Show, and then you've got every show on demand. Coming up live this next hour, John Bryce is in. National college football writer for FootballScoop.com. A lot to hit with John on the college football side. Curtis Riggs is on. We're going to talk a lot of high school football with the coach, Curtis Riggs, Riggs Football Academy, live from Sioux Falls. Let's clear some stuff up here. Let's clear some stuff up on my Denver Broncos, okay? I'm listening to the Denver media today, and everybody's just going crazy. I mean, we're just losing our minds. I'm frustrated. The Broncos have lost on a goofy thing at the end against the Colts on the leverage and the 15-yarder and blah, blah. And then they lose yesterday by giving it away, essentially. Big mistakes, not just running the ball when it's second and goal, short yardage, and we pass it, and we offensive pass interference. And I mean, it's just bad mistakes. But the thing people are missing, the Denver media, you Broncos fans, because everyone's like, oh, they're 1-2. We're no good. Oh, this is going to be a struggle. Bo Nix stinks. It's just over. It's over. The Broncos have lost on the last play of the game to undefeated teams. Did you guys hear that? Everybody's saying, oh, the Chargers are good. Well, that means the Broncos are pretty good then. Everybody's telling me the Chargers are good. Well, then the Broncos are pretty good. So, hey, Broncos country, across South Dakota, the Broncos could be 3-0, and everybody would just be going ballistic tonight as well. Like, oh, the Broncos, they're the Super Bowl bound. See, Sean Payton told you, they're Super Bowl bound. If it wasn't for some of Sean's calls and mistakes here, the Broncos would be right there winning these games. So this isn't a Broncos are bad thing. It's a Bo Nix fault thing. This is a Sean Payton, not quite as smart as we think in a lot of ways. And it's putting the team who seems pretty good. I love the way we rush the passer. I mean, it's off the chain. So Broncos are pretty good. So let's not go crazy. You remember last year they were just like this? Bo Nix was not very good. Broncos losing early. Turned the corner. And I'm still thinking that could be the case here. Everybody just hits things so hard on a Reaction Monday. Let's see. Listener text coming in. Still early in the season. Let's pump the brakes and breathe. Yes. Yes, pump the brakes. Relax. Everybody's trying to just hammer Bo Nix and this and that. And I'm not a Bo Nix president of the fan club. I'm not that guy. You know it. But I'm also not going to go down this road and everything gets over. They can't win. They lost on the last play of the game to two undefeated teams. Oh, it's the Colts. It's the Chargers. Well, are these guys good or not? Because they're undefeated, so they must be pretty good. You don't get undefeated just by accident in the NFL regular season. So Broncos aren't in full panic mode yet. My Broncos are fine. Now, Chargers had 29 first downs. Broncos had 9. So in spite of some of these things, the Broncos have been in these games on the road back-to-back weeks. So it's Broncos-Bengals in Denver. We be fine. As one of my friends used to say, big Broncos guy, we be fine. Let's see. Lister text, Sean Payton can't cheat like he used to. He's not the smartest man in the room anymore. Well, here's the thing. I've never said he's the smartest man. He's not the smartest man in the room. He's the smartest man in football history. Just ask him. Anyway, that's my issues with Sean. Sean's made some big mistakes. He's made some big, big mistakes. Broncos are pretty good. Sean's got to get it together. Got to get it together. Penalties, undisciplined, bad play calls, bad game management. I mean, he's got to get it together. Broncos are going to rush the passer. They're going to be fine. Bo Nix is fine. Broncos are right there in the AFC. Chiefs are 1-2. My Broncos are 1-2. The Raiders stink. So we'll be all right. Just hang tight. Getting into the next hour, let's do this. I just saw this here. A youth sports team in Utah comes up with a new idea to help relieve the cost of youth sports. Do we like this idea? Coming up.
This is the Nate Brown Show.
Save big money on your interior stains and finishes now at Menards. Provide exceptional color to your staining project with Minwax Color Series. It applies evenly and dries fast with just one coat. Get a quart of Minwax Color Series wood stain in over 240 colors on sale now through September 28th. Save big on Minwax wood stains. Plus, check out our weekly flyer on Menards.com for all the great deals happening now.
Save big money at Menards.
Mom, can we please go to Waitiki Indoor Water Park Resort?
Waitiki? What's so special about it?
Are you kidding? It's got slides, fountains, a lazy river, everything. And it's just a short drive to Rapid City. If we stay at one of the hotels, we get water park passes for free.
Wow, you really did your homework. Okay, what do you say we pack our swimsuits and hit Waitiki this weekend?
Yes, best mom ever.
Unlock your adventure at WaitikiWaterPark.com.
Hey, golfers, have you experienced Elkhorn Ridge Golf Club? Golf Digest ranked Elkhorn Ridge Golf Club the #1 public course in South Dakota. Off Exit 17 in Spearfish, Elkhorn Ridge offers a golfing experience second to none. Play their 18-hole championship layout with your buddies. Stop into Miller Creek Pub for some drinks, or bring the family out for lunch and try out the new putting green right below Miller Creek Pub. Elkhorn Ridge Golf Club has it all. Book your next tee time at elkhornridgeresort.com.
Being in business has its rewards as well as its challenges. It means being the first one in the door in the morning and turning off the lights when you leave at night. Your business is unique, and you need a bank that understands your needs. You deserve the best. You need a financial partner that is invested in your success. You need Pioneer Bank and Trust. Don't settle. Pioneer. Pioneer Bank and Trust. Local.
Pioneer Bank and Trust. Member FDIC.
KIMM Rapid City and K294BT Rapid City, the Black Hills Sports Station, 106.7 FM and 1150 AM. Fox Sports Rapid City.
If you're in the market for a vehicle right now, you probably have noticed it's sometimes hard to find the right one. That's where Summit Automotive Group steps in. Stacy and Matt and their staff working hard to get a great selection of pre-owned vehicles at affordable prices. At Summit Automotive, they have a different outlook on selling you a vehicle. You'll experience stress-free shopping, friendly, honest service with no high-pressure sales gimmicks. Before you buy, drop by East Highway 44, SummitAutoGRP.com.
Hi, I'm Bill at Wire for USA. If you're looking for internet, TV, security systems, or cell booster systems, why would you look at a company that only gives you one choice for each of these systems? Wire for USA offers it all. Viasat, Hughes, CenturyLink, Dish TV, DirecTV, Wilson cell booster systems, and now Starlink and EchoStar internet systems. Starlink and EchoStar are the newest, the fastest, and the strongest satellite internet made. No limit, no contract. Wire for USA has it. Call 605-341-5361. Whatever your home or business needs are, call Wire for USA for the products and the service. You don't need training wheels with our system. Connect to the future with Wire for USA at 605-341-5361. We are hometown, we are South Dakota, and we do appreciate your business. 605-341-5361. See us at our new location, 710 North La Crosse Street in Rapid City.
This is the Nate Brown Show. From the biggest national names to the hottest stories across South Dakota. Welcome to the Nate Brown Show. Here's your host, Nate Brown.
All right, here we go. Second hour. We've already made it to quitting time on a Monday, I hope, right? You're out the door. You're into your Monday evening. We got Ravens, Lions tonight. I like that. Good stuff. Thanks for being here. The Nate Brown Show is on Fox Sports Radio, South Dakota Sports Talk Show, where it's always a great day in South Dakota. You can book that. This hour, great guest, John Bryce, coming in tonight. College football national writer for Football Scoop on a Monday reaction to the Huskers and more. Curtis Riggs on tonight from Riggs Football Academy. Some high school football questions for Curtis Riggs, the coach, live from Sioux Falls. That's straight ahead. This hour, the Nate Brown Show, driven by Summit Automotive Group at SummitAutoGRP.com. Take a look at car buying built around you from the right selection of the right financing for your family. SummitAutoGRP.com. When it comes to pre-owned, start there. Let's see here. My daughter went to a basketball clinic over the weekend. It was excellent. It was the Dan Dickow Basketball Clinic. We had Dan on the show last week helping to promote it because I love opportunities like this in Rapid City where kids can get, these opportunities are rare. You got a Gonzaga All-American, NBA guard, played against Kobe. I mean, the whole thing. Just a great experience, learning a new perspective, learning from a guy who's been there, done that. My daughter is a guard. I was like, ate it up, so I thought it was outstanding. So Dan Dickow came to Rapid City and put on the Dan Dickow Basketball Clinic, and it was great to have Dan on the show last week, and I talked to him about the clinic, yes, but also what it takes in youth sports and what it takes for athletes today and the whole thing to get where he got. It was a good discussion, and I met him yesterday. Had a discussion. He's like, I had a great time here and the whole thing. So the experience was great. Now, the cost of that was only $75. Okay, the cost of that was only $75. For me, it was a no-brainer. So, and numerous players I know, it was a no-brainer. And very easy, right? In the big picture of things, like, $75, Dan Dickow Clinic, 2 days. That's excellent. So the cost on that was outstanding, I thought. Affordable, letting kids of Rapid City get a great basketball experience. There is something, though, to youth sports where I'm not going to be naive and think that there's people in Rapid City with kids that are basketball players that go, $75. I could really use that for this and this. That's a fact. That's a fact. So this story that jumped out to me today on Youth Sports came out of Utah. I thought about this. I'm like, wait a second. This on the surface to me, when I read this headline on the surface, I go, oh boy, are we really doing this? So there's a youth football team in Layton, Utah, who hang on here. They've started a GoFundMe page, to help with their costs for their families. And so on the surface, this is me, on the surface, I was like, wait a minute, GoFundMe's, that's supposed to be for health and important things, people that are in bad spots, devastating things have happened in their lives, stuff like, GoFundMe, you're gonna help them out, they're in a tough spot. Not for youth sports. So on the surface, okay, this article came out today at Salt Lake City Tribune. So you can find it. You can read through it. It's interesting. The guy who wrote it kind of gave his perspective as a former youth sports parent and what he thinks of this youth football team in Utah starting a GoFundMe because they want people to help them fund their football season, equipment, and all of that stuff. So let me just ask you the surface question, and then I'll give you my read on it when it's all said and done. What do you think of a GoFundMe being set up for a youth sports team? What do you think of a GoFundMe being set up for a youth sports team? It's fine. It's just a fundraising mechanism, or no, you can't use it for that. You can't go down that road. Then we're going to have GoFundMes for everything. So that's my question of the day on the Nate Brown Show in the second hour. 605-720-1067. Barron's Wilson text line is open. Pizza Ranch Studio hotline. We could try and get you there as well. 605-720-1067. Interested in your take. What do you think of a GoFundMe on the surface? GoFundMe, hey, we got a youth football team in Utah. They say, hey, these kids and their families need, some help to, they're trying to raise a certain amount of money to help with costs and stuff like this. According to the article in the Salt Lake City Tribune, it's like a rec football team. So I don't know. Would you say that's like Black Hills Youth Football? Would you say that? It's like that. Is that rec? I mean, it's kind of rec, right? It's not like it's a club elite, like travel thing where you're going all over the region or something. So it's like a youth rec football team wanting to defray the cost for their families. Are you okay with a GoFundMe? Let's go to the poll results so far on the Nate Brown Show on Twitter. What do you think of a GoFundMe being set up for a youth sports team? 63% are against it. You can't do it for stuff like this. 37% say it's fine. It's just fundraising. Here's my read on it. On the surface, I was, that doesn't seem quite right because the GoFundMes, I said, I think for a little more important stuff. But then I thought, wait a minute. I've been a part of youth sports, soccer to basketball to, okay. There are fundraisers like all the time. They're just done differently. Buy this wreath. Buy this chocolate. Buy this stuff. Are we okay with that stuff? Well, yeah, we have been because we buy butter braids every year. I mean, so we buy butter braids. That's just fundraising. So I'm going to give these guys a break. I'm going to give these guys. They had the article written. It's like, what do you think of a GoFundMe to fund a youth football team in Utah? I first thought, oh boy, here we go. Everybody's going to do this. Well, instead of the butter braids and the world's finest chocolate, they did a GoFundMe. And so they're trying to throw it out there. Here's the link. You can give to us. Here you go. They probably give it to grandma and grandpa, the whole thing. I think it's okay. I think that's fine. We'll see if other teams. Now, for me, if I'm running a youth basketball team, which I am, I'm not doing a GoFundMe for me because I kind of look at it as like, if somebody really needs help, we'll help them, right? There's been some scholarships in our club that we've helped people out. So you can find the people, they need the help. Hey, we really want so-and-so to be a part of this and experience this. There can be help there. I also know some folks are able to do this, and it's all good. So as long as these guys are, maybe their families are, kind of struggling or something like this, that's my only question on this. My only legitimate question is like, do you guys really need a GoFundMe? How is your families? How are your parents? How is this football team set up? Are we just trying to get a free football season from other people? So that's my only question. But I'm actually fine with, if you're selling butter braids for band, if you're trying to raise this money to help I think I'm okay with this. It's a fundraising mechanism, right? It's a fundraising mechanism. Listener text, would you be surprised if a public high school football team did a GoFundMe page? No, actually, I would not. I would not. Because there are so many high school teams that do their own fundraising. Like, a lot of people don't know this. I have a high school player, so I know this. There's so many high school teams that have to do their own fundraising because the school budget can't cover stuff. And so nobody ever wants to, increase budgets or ever on that. So it's just a tight budget. So now all the teams have to do their own fundraising. If you guys want to have like lunch on the bus, you better do fundraise some money. Yeah, I mean, it's that type of stuff. So I don't know if there's been a high school like in Rapid City do a GoFundMe page. I don't think so. But there is fundraising campaigns. And so that's how I see this. Youth football team in Utah says, hey, we're trying to defray the cost for our family. Can you donate? And so they've started a GoFundMe page, and now the article's in the Salt Lake City Tribune, and now it's on the Nate Brown Show. Man, these kids are going to be millionaires. Careful, they're only trying to raise like $700. Good luck. Not the end of the world. GoFundMe pages for sports. I'm okay with it. 63% of you are not. I mean, you got to, let's be real here. Are we trying to help kids play sports or are we not? If we're trying to help kids play sports and maybe they wouldn't be able to play sports, it's fine to do a GoFundMe page. Do you guys want them to play sports or not? Because there's a lot of families that need help that wouldn't be able to afford the $75 I just spent this past weekend. There's people that just say, sorry, I can't do that. We okay with helping them out? I am. John Bryce next. FootballScoop.com national writer on the Huskers coming up.
This is the Nate Brown.
There's nothing like it. Not for hundreds of miles in any direction. A gathering space for all kinds of people from all kinds of backgrounds. To share, to revel, to stand together and celebrate life's greatest moments.
We are number one. So you can always be their number one. Black Hills Surgical Hospital and Black Hills Orthopedic and Spine Center. The number one hospital in the nation for major orthopedic surgery.
Renewal by Anderson Windows and Patio Doors, the customers say it best, and they feel the difference every day.
Very happy with it. Very, very happy. I don't get tired of looking at them. And it's so nice with the breeze now, opening the windows, the ease of sliding the windows back and forth. Notice that it is warmer in the wintertime, and it is cooler when the sun is shining in.
Renewal by Anderson Windows and Patio Doors, the customers say it best. Book your free estimate right now at RBARapidCity.com.
What do you call a place? It's one of Deadwood's largest casinos, but is it really a casino? Because you can't decide, should I play or eat or wait? There's a liquor-infused ice cream bar? I mean, you're playing craps one minute and the next you're looking at a charcuterie board? What even is that? Never mind the gunfight outside, you don't have time for that. You've got espressos to down and games to bet on and a pub with 48 whiskeys? What do you even call a place like that?
the action is at the BetMGM Sportsbook in Tin Lizzie Gaming Resort.
And he's got a touchdown!
Don't miss a second of your favorite matchups with wall-to-wall television arrays and personalized audio technology.
Touchdown, Denver!
Now offering live betting so you can keep your luck rolling while the game is still going. Grab a lounge chair or pull up to a table and order off a full menu of food and drinks from Patty O'Neill's. BetMGM at Tin Lizzie is the #1 sportsbook in Deadwood, where it's always game on.
Collins Siding has been the region's premier window siding, door, and gutter installation specialist since 1974. They use only the highest quality materials and never compromise on their workmanship. Collins Siding is licensed, bonded, and their estimates always include labor, materials, and applicable permits and taxes. Collins Siding has been providing top quality service and exceeding high standards for over 45 years, and you can find out how by visiting them at 2016 Cherry Avenue. Collins Siding, 2016 Cherry Avenue, Rapid City.
Live callers, big-time interviews, and breaking sports news. This is South Dakota's sports talk show, The Nate Brown.
And welcome back in. South Dakota Sports Talk Show live, Fox Sports Radio. Glad you're here. Follow us on Twitter and watch the show live at Nate Brown Show. If you're on X, Twitter, whatever you call it, we are there at Nate Brown Show live every afternoon. Also on YouTube, The Nate Brown Show. Subscribe to the channel. You've got us for free. Live show archive shows there. The Nate Brown Show on YouTube. College football reaction. John Bryce in tonight. Haven't talked to John for a while. We got to get him. National college football writer, footballscoop.com. Follow him if you're not. South Dakota at John D. Bryce 1. He's on X there. John D. Bryce 1. John, welcome in. How are you?
I'm good, Nate. Congrats to your Cubs. They're going to the playoffs. My pathetic Braves are not. Hopefully, Brian Snitker does the noble thing and hangs it up. And we revisit things in 2026.
Okay, I appreciate that. My Cubbies are in for the first time since 2020. I don't think they're going to do much, but they're in, so I'm interested as we get to October. Let's go to this Nebraska thing. So I started my show with it. It's that big up here. Husker fans, I don't think, I had Husker fans text in. They said they were cautiously optimistic. They think if we win this one, we could make a little run here potentially. So they were wondering. I had Michigan as a loss for Nebraska at the start of the year. I said that last week. Still, they ran for 290 yards. That's what I was worried about. What did you make of Nebraska not able to get over Michigan?
Yeah, I will disagree with you, Nate, and your insight is always really good, so that's not me patronizing, but I just felt like year 3, the game's at home, you have your franchise quarterback, you have all these other elements going for you. I felt like not a must-win in the sense of what Billy Napier is facing at Florida or what some other coaches, Sam Pittman, is facing at Arkansas, but I found that game to be a must-win for Nebraska, and I think personally, it's the most disappointing loss of the Matt Rule era.
Okay. Why do you say that? Is Michigan down as much as people think? Freshman QB? Why do you say that? I still think Michigan's pretty good, right? What do you expect?
No, I think that Michigan had its head coach suspended. It started a true freshman quarterback. It also lost a number of players the previous 2 years from its national title team that won the title under much controversy and under admitted cheating. But the fact of the matter is, this is not the Michigan of Jim Harbaugh, and this is year 3 for Matt Rule. So I think that's it's a really debilitating loss for Nebraska, in my opinion. Nebraska, by the Vegas experts, was at a 7.5 over-under for wins on the season. And I was bullish on Nebraska because I'm a believer in Matt Rule and what he has done everywhere he's ever been, especially in year 3. And that was a game for Nebraska to do what I believed it was capable of doing in year 3. The Huskers had to win. What is it now, 0-28, 0-29? In contests against ranked opponents. That's transcending Matt Rule. That's transcending Scott Frost. That's all the way back to Frank Solich. But whoever it's back to, it's not good enough. And I just think that's overall an inexcusable loss for Nebraska because, again, at home, everything going for it. It should have been a night game. That's TV screwing things up. I really believe that. That should have been a night game. And maybe it's different if it's a night game for Nebraska. But regardless of all that, it's just a really damning loss, in my opinion, for Nebraska. My boss, Scott Roussel, in the preseason, we did teams that we thought would be over or below their expectations, and he was very much on below the 7.5 wins for Nebraska, and I was above. And right now with that loss, my boss is sitting in a better position than me.
Okay, I'm still going to take the above John Bryce. I said Nebraska would go 8-4. I gave them this loss. And I'm going to switch to, instead of Minnesota, I had they would get surprised by Minnesota. No, Nebraska will beat them. It's going to be Iowa at the end of the year. Can't stop the run. Iowa's going to do the same thing, physicality. So I still have the Huskers only losing to Penn State, USC, and Iowa. That would be 8-4. Is that too rosy?
That's not too rosy, but there's no margin of error now. Those are the games that feel like the toughest for Nebraska. Those are the games that feel like the ones that they have to have everything go a certain way. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I think Nebraska against Minnesota is an automatic dub. I'm not going to sit here and tell you I think Nebraska against Michigan State is an automatic dub. I think you can argue that Jonathan Smith has his Spartans playing as hard for him as Matt Rule has his Huskers playing for him. So 3-1. When we broke down at Football Scoop Nebraska's schedule and looked at the first 8 games, I said they had to be 7-1 through 8 games to make the leap that they need to make, to do what they need to do. They've lost this game. They get to host Michigan State this week. Look, Maryland, I absolutely did not expect Maryland to go in and beat Wisconsin so badly that Wisconsin AD Chris McIntosh had to hold an impromptu press conference saying, "I believe in my coach," which is a whole other story that we could get into on another visit because I don't buy that for 1 minute. But to sit there and think that Nebraska's only tough games left are those that you outlined and they can go win at Minnesota. If you can't shuck the corn at home, why can you go row the boat at Minnesota?
All right. Good line. Good stuff. By the way, speaking of losing, John Bryce on TonightFootballScoop.com. Speaking of losing, Dabo Swinney, is this big trouble here? Is this big trouble for Swinney?
I think it is in terms of he's too tenured, he's too successful to be as thin-skinned as he is, but he's thin-skinned, and he is his own worst enemy. He was his own worst enemy leading into last week. That's why I tweeted, Clemson must be exhausted from all this winning, because he said if Clemson's tired of winning, they can send me on my way. Well, look, like you're not the same program that you were 4 or 5 years ago. You're not the same program post-transfer portal, post-NIL that you were pre-NIL, pre-transfer portal. And once again, that's an entirely different conversation where we can talk about assistant coaches that helped Clemson maximize what they were before it was all legal and everything else. But, yeah, I think there's real trouble. Like Clemson entered this season as a top 10 program that touted itself as having NFL talent at quarterback, at wide receiver, at offensive line, at defensive line, in the secondary. Like, we're going to see in the NFL draft how talented this Clemson team is, and I think the NFL draft will show it's very talented, and they're off to the worst start in the history of Dabo Swinney. Garrett Riley was supposed to be the second coming, if not the superseding coming of Lincoln Riley. He was supposed to be not only the next great offensive coordinator, it was inevitable that he would be a head coach at a power conference program. And now instead you have Cade Klubnik looking like a statue from the most positive standpoint before the snap and looking like a statue from the most negative standpoint after the snap. So, I think it's bad for Clemson. Like, are they going to fire Dabo Swinney? No, they're not going to fire Dabo Swinney.
Okay.
I don't care if they don't win a game the rest of the year. They're not going to fire Dabo Swinney. That doesn't mean he would return next year. He might sulk off into the horizon and find somewhere else.
Why wouldn't they fire him, John, if it's that bad?
Because there's Danny Ford and there's Dabo Swinney, and there's 1980 Clemson, and then there's back-to-back Clemson national championships. And so they wouldn't fire him because, first of all, there's about $50 million tied up in that. And second of all, they have never won at the level that they've won at under Dabo Swinney. But what I would say is he's like an NFL quarterback. Like Dan Marino, and he was my favorite quarterback growing up, he probably played one season too many. And you can make the argument that Dabo Swinney has coached one or two seasons too many, at least at Clemson. Like, the sport is one that cannibalizes itself because the coaches cannibalize each other. Nick Saban went out after an overtime loss to Michigan that never should have gone to overtime, but he still went out revered as probably the best college coach ever. Dabo Swinney has hung around Clemson long enough where people are not immediate in saying, oh, my God, he's the best thing that ever happened to Clemson football.
Yeah. Good stuff from John Bryce tonight. Give me your take on Kalen DeBoer in Alabama. Can they get this done against Georgia? How does this matchup look?
I don't think they can. I don't think they can get it done against Georgia. I don't think that makes Alabama a bad team. I don't think this will be a bad loss. I think as the season unfolds, Florida State will prove to be an underwhelming loss. I think the ACC is really pretty tepid. I think that it's the SEC and the Big Ten. I think the Big 12 is really – the Big 12 is better than the ACC, but I think there's a large gulf between the Big Ten and the SEC and the ACC and the Big 12. And so I think that this will be a bad loss for Kalen DeBoer. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a double-digit loss for Kalen DeBoer. I don't think it's the end of the world for Alabama. I think they get Tennessee at home. They have their best, most important games will still be winnable for them. They can be in the playoff if there's 10-2 and they've lost to Georgia and they've lost to Florida State. But I expect Georgia to win this game, and frankly, I expect Georgia to win this game going away.
John Bryce on tonight. Before I let you run, are you impressed with Miami? You said the ACC's no good, but is Miami going to run through that?
I am impressed by Miami. I think that having seen them firsthand in person, they've got a bunch of NFL dudes on both sides of the ball. I will be really disappointed if Miami isn't a college football playoff team and Miami doesn't play for the ACC championship. They started last year 9-0. They've done some great things under Mario Cristobal. They haven't done the things that they've invested to do. They haven't done the things that they've paid NIL money to do. You've got Carson Beck allegedly making $4 million as your quarterback. Georgia didn't even really want him back. Miami said, we'll take you and we'll give you $4 million. Well, you better be a playoff team if that happens. But I do think Miami is that good. They're really, really fast, Nate. Like, they're as fast, I think, as any team I've seen in person in several years. Maybe 2016 Alabama, when Derrick Henry was still in college, and Alabama had just a bunch of absolute NFL donkeys on both sides of the ball. I think this Miami team has a bunch of NFL dudes and NFL speed on both sides of the ball. They're very physical on their offensive line. Alex Mirabal is the smallest coach in college football who's an offensive line coach. I think he might be the smallest coach in college football. Look him up. It's phenomenal what this guy does. Yeah. And Miami is physical. Miami plays like a cross between an SEC and a Big Ten team. And to me, I can't give a bigger compliment than that.
Miami, I think I've noticed them as well. Look out in the ACC. Maybe somebody will knock them off. I'm not sure. FootballScoop.com national writer John Bryce is in on a big Monday after an interesting week of college football with the Huskers going down, and a big one coming up, Alabama, Georgia, this weekend. John, always appreciate you. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, Nate, you gave me a couple of extra options to visit with you when I was tied up last week. I appreciate it, buddy.
Hey, thanks for coming on. John Bryce on tonight, FootballScoop.com, national writer on the Nate Brown Show tonight, courtesy of the Pizza Ranch Studio Hotline. All right. That was a good breakdown. Good breakdown. He says a devastating loss for Nebraska. A devastating loss. I wouldn't put it in that category. I mean, I would have liked them to win it. It would have been a big win. But, see, you can't have a big win and then a devastating loss. Like, we shouldn't have lost that one. So I had them losing that to Michigan anyway, and I still believe the Huskers are going to have a nice year, 8-4. I still believe that. They beat Michigan State. They're going to beat Minnesota. They're going to beat these teams. So Iowa's that X factor at the end of the year. We got already people betting on that. We already got people sending in text to bet on that Iowa and Nebraska thing. I've given the win to Iowa based on what I've seen now because Iowa runs it, pounds it, grinds it. Nebraska can't stop the run as of now. As of now, they can. That's why they lost Saturday. All right, go to the high school football side of things. I have a big question for a coach, Curtis Riggs. He's been around South Dakota football a long time. Curtis Riggs from Riggs Football Academy in Sioux Falls. I want his read on, can you tell if South Dakota high school football teams this year are good, better than teams from 10 to 15 years ago? I had this discussion last week. I had guys that had younger sons quite a while ago, and they said, our teams were better than the teams now. I said, can you tell that? If teams today are better or not as good than teams 10 to 15 years ago in South Dakota high school football? I want to start there. Curtis Riggs, his read, coming up.
This is South Dakota's Sports Talk Show.
Save big on everything for your next project when you shop at Menards. We have everything you need to update your window treatments with Window Images blinds and shades. We carry vinyl, aluminum, and full wood blinds, cellular shades, and more. Plus, get them trimmed to width in-store for free. Also, check out our weekly flyer on Menards.com for all the great deals happening this week.
Save big money at Menards.
Text scams continue to rise, and victims who have lost money to these scams continues to increase. Consumers cannot rely on a text message to be truthful. If you receive a message regarding a fine for missing jury duty, your utilities being shut off for non-payment, toll road fines, or you've won a sweepstakes, these are scams designed with an urgency and the need to send money now. Do not respond to these texts, and you should contact Consumer Protection at 800-300-1986. That's 800-300-1986 for the South Dakota Office of Attorney General's Consumer Protection Division.
The new Mr. Liquor 2 in Rapid City is the only place in western South Dakota where you can order an ice-cold brew in the adjoining Campfire Bar and enjoy it while you shop. This month's wine specials include $2.50 off all Decoy Limited wines. Your choice, $22.49. Black Box 3-liter wines now only $17.49. Or save $2 off every bottle of butternut wines, specially priced at just $9.99. The new Mr. Liquor 2, off Catron next to Walmart, or the original Mr. Liquor on the corner of West Chicago and Sturgis Road in Rapid City.
Great news. I just got the State Farm personal price plan on our home and auto insurance.
You told our agent about my thing for romance novels?
No, you don't have to get that personal. Our agent just helped me choose affordable options to create a personalized price just for us.
Oh, sweet. Then you won't believe the love triangle Jen is in now.
Contact me, State Farm agent Scott Carlson, to create your personal price plan today.
Prices vary by state. Options selected by customer. Availability and eligibility may vary.
It's time to hit the court at the Wautiki Fall Hoop Fest, November 7th through the 9th at the Box Elder Event Center. 3 days of non-stop basketball action as teams battle it out for bragging rights and glory. Divisions for boys and girls, grades 5th through 10th. Bring your game, bring your team, and bring the energy. And when the game's over, celebrate with special Courtyard by Marriott room rates that include Wautiki Water Park passes for even more fun. Don't sit on the sidelines. Register your team today at thebox.live.
This is The Nate Brown Show, also streaming live on YouTube. Subscribe to The Nate Brown Show on YouTube.
Hey, welcome back in. The Nate Brown Show is on Fox Sports Radio, South Dakota sports talk show from high school to college to the pros. Got you covered. A heavy football Monday, you might expect. Let's get into a little high school football action. Curtis Riggs is on tonight from Sioux Falls, Riggs Football Academy. Of course, Coach Riggs all over the South Dakota football scene. You can hear him as an analyst as well on the college side and high school side. Curtis Riggs joining us tonight on the Nate Brown Show talking South Dakota football. Coach, good to get you on. How are you?
I'm good, Nate. Thanks for having me.
I appreciate your time. So I got some interesting questions I want to run by you. You've been around the game a long time. I want to start with the Sioux Falls Lincoln team. So they've scored over 50 every game. They're like averaging, I think it's 56 a game. So when you're at that level, are we starting to talk about one of the better offensive teams that we've seen, or is that way over the top? What do you say?
I think there's a little bit of both. I think Brody Schaefer is one of the best quarterbacks we've ever seen at the high school level. I think he has just such a great innate ability of throwing in any offset position. He can throw with touch. He's extremely good at throwing receivers open. On air many times it'll be 3rd and 15, and there's no sense of panic. Like, it's a very easy situation for them. And I think the skilled guys are good, but they're a lot better because of him. They'll definitely go play college football, but he's really the catalyst of it. I think the other part to that, though, is I think there's not as many other good teams. I think the parity level in AAA is probably at one of its all-time lows. I would say, there's Lincoln, Brandon Valley, who haven't played each other yet. Jefferson is kind of on the edge there, and then you got Harrisburg, O'Gorman, and the rest of the schools that are all fighting to get up there. But Lincoln and Brandon, distinct differences in styles, but seem to be the two that are heads and tails above everyone else.
Okay, so you just bring up a good point where how you compare this team like Lincoln this year and how good they are to yesteryear. I had a discussion with some high school football guys last week. They had sons that played years ago. They said, our teams were way better than the teams now. And so I don't know if that's just us saying, oh, yeah, we were better back in the day. Can you compare high school football teams today to 15 years ago? Can you tell?
No, you really can't. And, there's always that argument that athletes are better now than what they used to be. Well, that's not true. It's not like all of a sudden we're birthing babies that have extra muscles and run fast. The technology is better, and there's enhancements in training, but the athletes were just as good then as they were now. Now, schemes are what are different. But the schemes then were, hey, let's line up and run for 3 yards in a cloud of dust. That's what they were asked to do, and that's what they did. And how you really distinguished was who was the fastest or strongest, and who could run around the edge or who could run through a lot of tackles. Whereas now it's a passing game that many were fearful of even attempting. And for a lot of years in South Dakota, many just went to, the unbalanced wishbone, and this is the way we could showcase our athletes.
Okay, so you couldn't tell me the Austin Sumner Brandon Valley team I covered a long time ago, would they smoke Brandon Valley today? We just can't quite tell. It's different.
Well, I will say this, because I know that team, and, Dale Moss was actually the very first athlete I trained for my academy. He played 1 year at SDSU. There's no athlete like Dale on Lincoln High School's football team. So, and Austin Sumner too. I mean, he 6'4" and could sling it all over the place. And, I mean, they had a lot of good pieces, but they also didn't have a Brody Schaefer. They didn't have anyone like him on that team, and they didn't face anyone like him at that time either. So I think, it would be interesting. I think it would be close to, like the championship game last year. Landon Delaney, Dale Moss, the running style, that big offensive line, that was kind of their MO, and they stuck right to it. I mean, it was that was in a really, really good championship football game last year.
Good stuff. Curtis Riggs on tonight. I wanted his take. Interesting question of the day. Can you compare high school teams from 10, 15 years ago to the talent of today? Coach Riggs on. He's on X at Riggs Football. When you look across 11 AA, I just want you to read here. This seems like now a class. I'm looking at a coach like, wow, Piers, they're in the mix, but they're not going to dominate it. Huron out of nowhere. Spearfish in there. What do you see in AA, the parity all of a sudden?
Well, you're exactly. I was just talking to someone about this because I really expected Yankton to give a better showing at Harrisburg. And when they walked away with the beating that they took, I felt the exact same way. I'm like, boy, this is really up for grabs. Sturgis, Spearfish, Huron, Pierre, obviously, because, they have some good players, and Coach Steele has been through it all. And I still think Yankton's in there. And Brookings, I watched Brookings practice and play a couple times, and if they can figure it out, like playing to their strengths, they could be the scariest. But you're right. I mean, it's up for grabs for anyone.
How good Sioux Falls Christian in 11A?
Well, they're good, and everyone else is not so good. The one team that could put a fear into them is Madison, because the Veenhoff brothers are lighting it up. I mean, Henry Veenhoff has come out of nowhere. Now, we knew about him because he came down and worked with us. We just didn't know if the coach, who was very senior, committed to, the seniors in his program, if he would give Henry a shot, but he did, and it was the best thing he's done because Henry is really lighting it up at the quarterback spot. He can run and pass, which I think a quarterback that beats Sioux Falls Christian has got to be able to create with his legs because their defense can create a lot of pressure.
Curtis Riggs on tonight talking high school football. I want you to read on one college game. It's your friend Kalen DeBoer. It's Georgia. Alabama, Georgia, what's your take?
Well, two even teams. And I think, from the Florida State game to how things were going, that spread was at 5.5, 6.5, I think, at one point. Well, now it's down to 2.5. So, people are like, yeah, we think we got two even squads here. And in the last 10 games, I mean, Alabama's 9-1 against Georgia, so they've had their number. I think this game will be very much like the Tennessee game. It's not really about who, the mistakes. It's who can get to that fourth quarter and finish the game. Because Tennessee couldn't. Tennessee, they jumped up big. They let Georgia fight back in it, and then they couldn't finish it when all they had to do was kick that field goal, and they couldn't do it. Georgia will be steady. So you've got to know that they'll play 4 quarters. You got to be able to get through that ending part against them. I think Bama's ready to go. I think the last 2 games have really helped settle people in their positions. Seeing the footage of not playing hard against Florida State was an eye-opener for a lot of those 5-star kids.
Good stuff from Curtis Riggs tonight. High school football, midway point of the season. Riggs Football Academy coach at Sanford Sports. Curtis, good to have you. Thanks a lot.
Nate, thank you. Have a good day.
Appreciate you coming on. Curtis Riggs on tonight talking South Dakota high school football. Little Kalen DeBoer, Alabama, Georgia action as well. Longtime friends there. Riggs Football on tonight. Who's hot and who's not on the Nate Brown Show? there was a guy who came to the Black Hills. This guy's the most famous guy you've never heard of. Next.
This is the Nate Brown Show.
Stock up for less on work and home essentials with another great week of Fleet Farm deals. Like 40 pounds of KT Basic Blend Bird Food for just $16.99. And Diamond Crystal Iron Fighter Softener Salt for only $7.29 a bag. Plus, get a $25 Fleet Farm gift card free when you buy $100 worth of Keen, Carhartt, or Timberland Pro footwear. Count on Fleet Farm to deliver the goods at the best prices guaranteed. And find even more weekly deals at fleetfarm.com.
Did you know your sandwich could help your school? With Loaves for Learning, every UPC from Country Hearth and Village Hearth products is worth 5 cents for your school. Collect UPCs and your school could earn up to $10,000 this year just by eating what your family already loves. Sandwiches made on Country Hearth and Village Hearth breads, fuel for your kids and their school. That's lunch money reimagined. Visit loavesforlearning.com for more info.
Hi, I'm Tim Wrench, and I'm seeking personal injury cases. If you've been injured because someone else did something wrong, call me up. I'm a trial lawyer. I've tried criminal and civil cases for decades, and I can use all of that experience to help you. I also know this, that when insurance companies know that you're represented by a trial lawyer, they take your claim more seriously, and if it is to be settled, it's settled better with a trial lawyer. Wrench Law, 605-341-1111, wrenchlaw.com.
Here's your Fox Sports Rapid City forecast. Cloudy tonight with storms likely. Lows around 54. Northwesterly winds 10 to 20 miles per hour. Tomorrow, high of 74. Lows level off around 50. Tomorrow night, clear skies. Sunny skies and dry Wednesday and Thursday, upper 70s. Wednesday, mid 80s by Thursday. That's your forecast on the Black Hills Sports Station, Fox Sports Rapid City. Right now, it's 67 degrees.
At Black Hills Federal Credit Union, we are committed to improving the lives of our members and bettering our communities. As your community credit union, we're here to get to know you and your unique needs. From extended service hours to the newest technology, we have you covered. Stop by any location to get started or text or call 605-718-1818. BHFCU is member-owned, not-for-profit, and federally insured by the NCUA.
From high school to college to the pros, from Rapid City to Sioux Falls, the Nate Brown Show is South Dakota's sports talk show.
All right, let's do this on the Nate Brown Show every night at this time. Who's hot and who's not? Brought to you by the Pizza Ranch, home of everyone's favorite buffet, your locally owned and operated Pizza Ranch, 2 locations in Rapid City. Also at East 10th Street in Sioux Falls and a location in Brandon. The Pizza Ranch. Who's hot and who's not? Here we go in my who's hot category. It is your Minnesota Vikings. 2 defensive touchdowns yesterday. Absolutely dominant. The Flores defense was off the charts, and if they play like that, I know it was Jake Browning. I know it's the Bengals, the Bungles, the Brownings. If they play like that, this is what we expect of the Vikings. And look out, they got the Steelers overseas this Sunday morning. They have the Browns. Come out of this 4-1, maybe 4-1. Carson Wentz just did enough. The Vikings in my who's hot just dominated and helped me win a parlay at BetMGM Sportsbook. Book it. Thank you. We're feeling good. In our Pizza Ranch Who's Not tonight, there was a famous guy who came to the Black Hills. He went to a high school game in Custer St. Thomas More Friday. His name is I Show Speed. I heard about him all weekend. I had older people saying, have you ever heard of this guy, I Show Speed? Then I watched his YouTube channel. He has 46 million followers. 46 million followers. I watched his YouTube channel today for 5 minutes. He was in a restaurant live streaming, just like talking to people, doing stupid stuff. And I thought, what have I done with my life? Self-reflection. I Show Speed. The guy you've never heard of who has 46 million followers. See you tomorrow.
It's the geometry teacher who mans the ticket window.